staff is working around the clock. But when we think about early literacy instruction from that tier 1 perspective, what really do you think are the biggest challenges that you are facing right now, and what are you looking at?
So first of all, I'm honored to be here on this panel with such distinguished guests. Kymyona, first time meeting you in person, but we have a connection because we work together in Mississippi, and LeVar, I'm kind of starstruck, so I'm trying to get my thoughts together. What was the question again? Seriously, I forgot.
Dr. Wright, talk about implementing science of reading. Going through COVID, I know that you've actually done some school scheduling structural changes, which I've heard is a heavy lift, but you've done that really to support your teachers. So talk about what challenges you're facing right now, especially for your teachers. The Arkansas teachers, we're here to lift them up because they are our heroes.
So when I think about some of the challenges that we're facing in Little Rock School District, I think the first thing that comes to mind is just this concept of teacher efficacy. In Little Rock School District, just like many urban school districts across the country, when we're working with the majority student population who are impacted by poverty, sometimes it takes a little bit more to get to our end goal. And so teachers feeling confident about their ability to be successful with teaching kids how to learn is a big challenge, especially with some of the barriers that we're facing. I would say also we are really focused in Little Rock School District on really helping to shift our culture to be more learner-centered. I think that when we began implementing the science of reading 6, 7, 8 years ago, that was during the time where our district was under state control, and it was, as I've come to learn in my short time here, there was just a lot of stuff going on. And I don't know that teaching and learning was the primary focus, and so we didn't really get a chance to see all the outcomes that we probably should have seen with when we began implementing the science of reading. But we're seeing some glimmers of hope from 2022 to 2023. Although some folks may not celebrate this, but we saw a 3% jump in the percentage of students who are proficient. So that's huge. I'm really excited about the jump that we saw in 4th grade. We're putting in a lot of work to kind of focus on early literacy, and so we had a huge 5% increase in the percentage of students who are proficient in just 1 year. And so we're seeing some glimmers of hope, and so we're excited about that. But just navigating change in a district like Little Rock that has gone through so much, decades upon decades, it can be challenging. But we have a great group of staff members. We have excellent teachers all across our district. So if we just keep focusing and put into work, we're sure we're going to see those outcomes over a period of time.
Beautiful, beautiful. The woman on your right has your back as you go through these changes. And I think, Kymyona, this brings up really the work that you've done, and I think what Dr. Wright is saying, which is they're seeing small changes that are heading in the right direction, but this takes time. You are known for your amazing work in Mississippi that really was a leader in changing their teacher prep programs, their classroom instruction, really the support that you gave to teachers, including literacy coaches. And it's often been referred to as the Mississippi Miracle, but I was so intrigued to learn from you at our talk yesterday that you actually really don't love being known as the Mississippi Miracle because it takes work. So can you talk about that?
It definitely takes work. For those of us who started in the trenches, I'll say in 2013 at the Mississippi Department of Education, in just over the last decade, where we put our feet on the gas and just didn't stop. This was a cultural shift. This was a shift in mindset. And for those of you who look at your Department of Education as an auditing arm, that's how they looked at the MDE, right? If the State Department is coming into our building, that means that we've done something wrong. So we had to change that perception. This was our first state-led initiative. You know, a lot of times people want to come and do pilots, and that's fine for collecting data, but what happens when they leave, right? Is it sustainable? So having our state-led effort, the work of our literacy coaches, putting them in lowest performing schools, you know, I always have to tell my people, we're gonna just have to let our work speak for us. No one's gonna believe we're here to help. No one's going to believe any of that until we show them. Mississippi, similar to Arkansas, we're the poorest, blackest state in the country. And we have managed to go from 50th in the country. And I heard the sayings from all of you. Thank God for Mississippi. I really can't see you guys because of these lights, but and to even go from 50th to 21st in a decade. I just want you guys to know that, you know, once you see something like that, you can't unsee it, right? Which means that you know that it's possible. And although we don't want Arkansas to, you know, outperform Mississippi, you know, we're here to help. I mean, we're here to champion this for all kids, all kids. It only makes the rest of us better when we can make sure that we're investing in the children who are going to, you know, hopefully one day take care of us. But yeah, I think that the work in Mississippi has become this model, but definitely no miracle, definitely hard work. We had rough spots, we had challenges, we had all of those things. And I know that those things may not be as reported as widely as just the success that we've seen, but we know that we have so much work to do still for a lot of kids.
Wonderful. LeVar, you come from a family of educators. Teaching is in your blood. And 28 years, I think, really, of a teacher, of a guide, of an entertainer with Reading Rainbow, but instilling the love of reading. When you first saw rough cuts of our film, I think one of the pieces that moved you so deeply was the remarkable Sabrina Ki. And share your perspective on the heroic work that teachers do and why for her she took such risk.
Well, as you said, Jenny, I'm from a family of educators. My mother was a teacher, my elder sister, Letitia, both of my nieces, my son. If you're a Burton, you are probably in the business of education. And I immediately identified with Sabrina Ki because of her fire, her love for her students, and the dilemma that she found herself in. Her soul needed to make a difference. Her soul needed to do the right thing, and yet she wasn't getting the support that she needed from the system in which she found herself. And the risk that she took, it blew me away. It blew me away that she was willing to put it all on the line in the service of serving her kids. And that's powerful. Anyone who walks with that kind of passion and commitment to do what it takes, to do whatever is necessary to get the job done, especially someone who is in that frame of mind, that attitude of action on behalf of kids and literacy, she's a hero to me.
Amen. Amen. I want to say we have someone very special in the house tonight because Sabrina Ki got her courage because she had a literacy coach. And that is one of the pieces that is really a part of good implementation of policy, is getting teachers the support. So giant shout out, where are you, Jess? But this is Sabrina Ki's coach. LeVar, I want to go back to you for 1 second because I think one of the pieces you've talked a lot about as we've traveled around the country is phonics, and how you learned to read with phonics, and those sounds and letter recognition and blending and putting that all together in our talk about phonics and really,
By a show of hands, how many people learn to read with an evidence-based, phonics-centric approach to literacy, right? Now, a lot of hands, and I'm assuming that the rest of you do know how to read.
We can't take him anywhere.
My point is that what we need to do is put the tools in the hands of kids that will enable them to crack the code, right? That's what works. That's what we know that is what works, and so that is what we need to do. The 3Qing and the guessing and all of that. I don't know how we found our way into this situation. It's like a nightmare to me that this is where we are in 2023, having to reverse course on a decision that was made a couple of decades ago that has failed to serve us.
false marketing.
Yeah.
False marketing.
Well, don't get me started on the profit motive in education, because therein lies the rub, right? Lucy Calkins and all of that nonsense.
Hooey.
I have another word.
Instead of shh, if.
It's bullshit. So this is a movement, as you well know, as both doctors well know. This is a movement to return to an evidence-based system of teaching reading that is based on the fundamentals, the phonics, the cracking of the code. And I'm sad that we are here needing to turn the ship, but here we are. And so let's get it done, because the future of this nation really depends on our ability to do what it is we have set our caps on, what we've set out to do here. We have to get this done. The world is crazy out there. And it is our job, we are the elders in this society now. It is incumbent upon us to do whatever we can to make sure that our kids are equipped to take on the world that we have left them. And there's just a passing of problems that they will need to solve, and none of it will get solved without literacy.
Dr. Burk, let's bounce back to you for a minute, just regarding phonics and how important phonics is. However, sometimes we overemphasize, as we are really looking at structured literacy, and how important, as you go to in the film, the 5 pillars are. Can you just talk about that and sort of what are the warning signs for us that we need to know about?
Right, so even a lot of education reporters, and I know that we have media here tonight, I think that it has just been simplified with the word or the term phonics, right? That this is just a phonics-based approach. But we know, and even from seeing in the movie, how important oral language is, how important not just that, but being able to hear the sounds. And when I was looking at Ms. Causey with her mask on, teaching children how to read, you know how important it is for them to be able to see what your tongue does when you make a specific sound, right? How your mouth forms, all of those things. Teachers are just superheroes, right? With all of the things, it's not just phonics, it's also language comprehension. When you're talking to your students, how well do they understand what you're saying when you're talking? When they're reading, decoding, the phonics part of it, the other side of that is encoding, right? Is the writing component. We don't talk enough about spelling, about writing, about background knowledge that in many instances we have to help build for our children before we even introduce a lesson. So teaching is an art. Like, it's all of these things happening at the same time. And I think just to kind of simplify it, so phonics doesn't do the process of reading justice. So I think as we begin to talk about it, especially on this major stage now across the country, that we are inclusive of all of the other components and all of the other skills that students must learn and master for them to become skilled readers.
Beautiful. Dr. Wright, let's talk about where you are with all of these remarkable Arkansas teachers who are trying to make this shift. And shifting is hard, especially when you've been taught one way, and now you're really being encouraged in an outrageously busy day where your plates are so full to do things differently. What is it that we are doing to really support teachers, to give them training? How is all this change working now that we're back in the classroom?
Great question. Very loaded question. But we are doing many things in the Little Rock School District, pretty similar to, I'm sure, school districts all around the country. I think one of the things that is very important for us is helping our teachers, not just our teachers, but really all of our educators, our principals, our APs, really understand and move from this compliance nature with the science of reading and really understanding the why behind it. So we have, one thing we're very rich with in Little Rock School District, we have high quality instructional materials everywhere. We have them everywhere. But it's one thing to have them, it's something totally separate to understand how to use them and why they're structured in the way that they're structured. And so sometimes you hear, teachers and educators saying, well, I don't want to teach this scripted curriculum, I want to use the knowledge and the skills and the ability that I have to be able to make those decisions myself in the classroom. That's fine. If you understand structured literacy, if you understand the science of literacy, if you understand why the high quality instructional materials are organized the way they are, and if you have that knowledge and understanding, by all means do that. But if you don't, we need to really make sure that you have that understanding before you're in a position to make decisions, because as it has been illustrated in film, we've got a lot of work to do, and the future and the lives of our children are in our hands. It's really that serious, and so we just can't arbitrarily make decisions just because we don't like something, or it may be a little too hard for us. And so I think one of the things that we're really trying to do in our district is really ratchet up the level of accountability. And so we spend a lot of money on materials, we spend a lot of time on professional development and training, but we want to make sure that these things actually show up in the classroom, to make sure that kids are actually getting what they're supposed to get. And so we've implemented quite a few measures to really inspect what we want to see happen in the classroom all across our district.
Your teachers love you, Dr. Wright.